public interface, then we give it a name, or without the public, just interface, okay? We give it a name. What name should we give it?
Mike.
What?
Mike.
Mike.
Like.
Like.
Vehicle.
Oh, vehicle. You want to call it vehicle? Okay, that is LE. So that is an interface. So what is going to happen is this. In this interface, you are going to have set of methods. Set of methods. Let's say, for example, you have public, void as usual, drive. Then maybe public, let's say integer, let's say speed. Okay, let's say you have another one, public, maybe void, okay, maybe stop. So this is what you call an interface. So if you have 3, 4, 5, no matter how many classes you have that implement this interface, they must implement all the methods. They must implement what? All the methods. So here is the funny thing. If I have class car, okay, I use the what? Implements. Okay, let me write it here, I think it's better. So I have class car, then I have what? Implements. What does it implement? Vehicle. So what we have here is this. The class car must have what? Drive, speed, and stop. Okay? It must have drive, speed, and stop. So let's say it has, I'm just going to write something like drive, speed, and then we will also have stop. Okay? So here is the problem with interface. If I have another class, and this is a class cat. This is a class cat. Cat has nothing to do with drive, but it has speed, correct? So the problem with interface is that even though this cat does not make any sense for it to have drive, it must have drive, and it must have speed, and it must have stop. In ideal sense, a car does not have drive and stop, but it has a speed. Okay? But any class that implement an interface must have all the methods. This is the rule to follow. Okay? So our question says we should show an example of interface using Java code. So this is an example. Okay? So let's go to the next question. So what happens if a class in Java claimed to implement an interface but failed to provide implementation for all the interfaces methods? That is what happens if I have a car and I do not have stop and I do not have drive. Because car is saying that it's implement what? Vehicle. So what happened now? The compiler is going to throw an error. Okay? I hope you are taking notes. The compiler is going to throw an error. Why? Because if a class implement an interface, it must implement all the methods of that interface. Okay? So let's continue. What is next? Do not worry about this, they are already on sticks. What is next? What is the purpose of implements clause? So implement clause in Java interface. What is the purpose of this word? Implements. What is the purpose of it? It is telling the compiler that this particular class is going to have all the methods that are available in the preceding interface. Okay? So let's go to the next question. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay, I want to wrap as soon as possible. This place is already prepared for the next program. Okay. Give a brief. So basically that's it about interface. Okay? I don't know, maybe around 10 questions on interface, I cannot remember. So give a brief explanation of JDBC. Who can give a brief explanation of JDBC? Who can give a brief explanation of JDBC? What do you understand about it? What? It's the process of what? Connecting database and through Java application? Okay, whatever you think. A brief explanation. Next is using Java code. Give an example of how to load a JDBC driver. How do you load a JDBC driver? Are you going to share the video with us?
No.
How do I load a JDBC driver? So let's answer the second question. Using Java code, give an example of how to load a JDBC driver. So JDBC driver, it depends on what type of driver are you trying to load. There are many. There is Oracle, MySQL, SQL, SQLite. It depends. But the one thing that they all have in common is this. They all use what? Capital C, class dot, small this, and then that. Class dot for name. In here is where you load the driver. The one that we have learned about is what? Which one did we learn about? ORG, right?
Yes.
Dot what? Dot SQ light. Dot what? Capital JDBC. This is only for SQLite. Okay, each one has its own URL. Okay, so that is all. So you will have a question maybe that will ask you which of the following is the correct way of loading a driver.
Right.
Okay? So you have to make sure it is like that. Then what is next? Give another example using Java code on how to establish connection to a database. So next is how do we establish a connection to what? A database. And then we are to assume that the name of the database is what? My database. So how do we establish a connection? We always use the driver manager to establish a connection. So we will always use the driver manager to establish a connection. But for a connection, you have to define a variable, a connection variable. It's more like integer double, but this one, the name is what? Connection.
Yes, connection.
Okay? Okay, connection, let's say is equal to
connection.
what? What do we use? We use driver. This is a G. Okay? Driver manager dot what? Get connection. In the bracket, this is what you have. You either have URL, it depends, but normally you have to have this J, D, B, C column,
Yes.
then
What the hell you are?
the driver itself, MySQL, Oracle, whatever. Okay? So According to that example, we have SQ, light. And the most important is that we are given a database name, which is what? My database. So we will have that. My database. So this is how we establish a connection to a database name, my database. So let's go to the next question. So how many questions so far? Around 7, I think, right? So we have to go to the next one. The next one. What are the two primary methods in statement interface used for executing queries? Do you care to assist? Teacher number 2. Can you assist with answering the first one? What are the two primary methods in statement interface used for executing queries? Execute what? Yes. The two methods are execute query and execute what? Update. Execute query and execute update. Okay? Considering data definition and data manipulation languages, explain the difference between the two primary methods. Any idea what is a data definition? Data definition. How about data manipulation? One creates the data and the other one gets result from the data. So if you go back to your slide, you will find out that the data definition language is using execute query, right? And the data manipulation language is using what? I think it's the other way around. Just think about it. Which one is going to return an integer? Which one is not going to return an integer? As simple as that. But execute update is for data definition and execute query is for data manipulation. Okay? That's it. That is the short answer. Okay? But in case you are confused, let me give you an example. If I have this, I have two SQL query. Which one is data definition and which one is data manipulation?
Manipulation number 1. Number 1.
The first one is data manipulation, right?
Yes.
And the second one is what?
Definition.
Data definition. Defining the data, creating the tables. As you see, database is much more than creating a table and creating a database. It's going to be a course of itself, okay? We are sticking to what we know. There are other things like triggers, like procedures and the rest, okay, and objects. All those are called data definition languages. I hope you get it. And anything select star where this is that, select star where this and that, these are all manipulation languages, okay? They are not creating anything, they are not defining anything. So let's go with the next question. I think that is the last question. Write a JDBC code snippet to retrieve all columns of a table employee. Somebody should be telling me when it's 9:30, please let me know, okay? Write a JDBC code snippet to retrieve all the columns of a table. We have a table and the name of the table is employee. So how do we retrieve all the columns of this table? This is code snippet. It's not like the complete code, okay? The most important is how to retrieve that, Okay? So, if you want, you can have something like this is only if you want. Let's say we have this select star. Is that a star?
Yeah.
Select star from, what is that on the table? Employee. So we have the select star from employee. So this is going to select employee, comma. Okay? This is going to select everything from it, right? So let's say that we have even PST or statement. Which one should we use?
PST.
We should use statement, right? So if you use statement, it's okay. That is statement is equal to con.create statement. Or you can have that. It's all the same, okay? Let's say,
PST.
huh? Yes, we will use con dot. Actually, it's a very long thing to write. Is it prepare statement? What do we have in the bracket? Okay. Okay, and then the result set is going to be PST. So this is it execute update or execute query? Huh? It's data manipulation language, so it's execute query. So this is going to be like execute query. Okay? So the question starts from here, retrieving the columns. I'm going to assume that employee has one column. If you do that, it's okay. So we are going to have that. We use a while loop, right?
Yes.
While else dot what? Next. Okay? What do we do?
Try and catch.
This is where we retrieve, right?
Yeah.
So we can have a string, let's say name. Okay? Name to be equal to what? To be equal to what?
Employee.
What are we going to get?
Yes, that's it.
So we are going to get string, right? And then what do we have in the bracket? We either have 1 for column 1, 2 for the second column, 3 for, or we use the column name. Okay? So I'm going to just use 1 this time around. That is, just get the first column. Or you can use this, but it has to match what? It has to match what you have on the table. That is the condition. It has to match what you have on the table. With this, you are done. It's a code snippet. It's not a complete code. If you only write the while loop, it's okay. Only the while loop will do. So let's go to the next question. We don't even have the try and catch. That is why it is called what? Snippet. Okay? And by the way, I'm not fan of closing anything. What JDBC use a driver and driver manager for? The question here is that in JDBC, you have driver and you have what? Driver manager. So what do we use the driver for? And what do we use the driver manager for? Who can answer this question? No. We have driver and driver manager. Okay, since it's a very fast, I hope I'm not speaking very fast. Are you guys understanding? So this is the thing. The driver is responsible for translating whatever Java code query is sent to the database language. Okay, that is Oracle is, query. It will translate it to Oracle query. Okay, MySQL query. It will translate it to MySQL query. The JDBC driver is responsible for managing connection. It is the one that makes sure that the driver and the database are connected. Okay? It also says that show with a diagram the application, driver, manager, and drivers of JDBC. So we are going to have a diagram which shows the application, the driver, manager, and the drivers. Okay? So normally this is the process. Let me explain it better now. Normally this is what you have. This is your app. Okay? This is your Java code. So this Java code, okay, has a driver manager. Okay? So it has what? This is the driver manager. And in here we have some drivers. Okay? Let's say this is SQLite. Okay? And then let's say this is Oracle. And let's say that this is like MySQL. Okay? Each one of them is connecting to a database. By the way, I don't know how to do drawing, so forgive me. I wanted to be an architecture, but I cannot draw. So I'm still being punished for that. What I have here is that the databases, I hope you get it. So this is how it works, right? This one is going to translate to the database. Select star, it will tell it, hey, select star, give us this result. This one will have its own query and the other one. And what is the purpose of this? Managing these ones. Whenever a new request comes in and none of this driver is available, it will find the available one and assign. Do you get it?
Very good.
Next. We have not finished with this?
No.
How many types of drivers are available in JDBC? How many? We have 4. Type 1, type 2, type 3, and
Type O.
type 4. Yeah, I have good questions about this, so please know them, memorize them. List the types of the JDBC driver with a brief explanation and
قاعد بقول لك
diagram.
تذكروا رحيل.
Brief explanation and what? Diagram. So you should know that it's very important that we have type 1, we also have
Type 2.
type 2, and we have
Type 3.
type 3, and then we also have type 4. So let's do the explanation. Type 1, use open database connectivity and what? And native API. Okay. So what this means is that in type 1, the query should be according to the open database connectivity query, what it will understand. And then the ODBC will translate it and send it to the native API of the database, and then the native API or the native driver will send it to the database. If you could remember, the limitation is this: you cannot write any query that the ODBC cannot translate. Okay? I hope you are following. Type 2 use what? Type 2 is just the native, right? API to what? To the database. Okay? This one also to the DB. Okay? So for type 2, when you write the query, it will send it directly to the driver. Okay? And then from the driver to where? To the database. That is like this. I think this is type 2. Okay? Then type 3. Type 3 is going to send it to a malware. Okay? Like some server. Okay? You can write server. and this server will find what? The DB. Okay, I'm not going to give, this is not brief explanation. Thank God you are not having, what do you call it, classical questions. This is just me explaining. And how about type 4? Directly to what? This is direct to DB, right? So this means that any machine that has Java virtual machine, right, can run this database. If the question says which database can be run with any machine that has JVM, it's type what? Type 4. So the next question says, and diagram. So we need to be able to design them with their diagram. I believe you know the diagrams, right? Type 1 is what? You have the app, right? The app is going to sign first to the ODBC. So it has to be ODBC query. Okay, so there is equivalent MySQL query of ODBC that we have to write. And the ODBC will give it what? The native API. And then this will give it what? To the database. Okay? I cannot remember exactly how the design is, but that is the logic. The same with what we did. Type 2. For type 2, what do we say in type 2? You have the app, and the app will get you to the native driver. Okay, I can just write native driver. And then from there you go to where? The DB. This is type 2. As for type 3, basically what I have in the final exam is all of these diagrams. I'm asking you some bunch of questions. So type 3, what is type 3? So we have the app, and then let's go to where? There is a malware, right?
Yes.
I think malware should be bigger because it's a server, right?
Yes.
This is a malware, okay? Or you call it server, whatever. Like the bank, they use this. They will not allow you to connect directly to their database, okay? So you have that. Then what do you have here? You have the database itself. And then as for type 4, what do we have in type 4? The app directly to what? Directly to the database. Okay, if you are doing a game, it's okay for you to have that, because unless if your game include payment and the rest. No, type 3 is the best. Yes, you have to go to a server, so everything has to be checked, and you don't know the database where it is located. It is the server responsibility to find the database. This is my opinion, but it's more expensive. It depends on what you want. Will you do that for a game? It depends on what you are getting from the game. Because maintaining a server is really expensive, you know? Because server is always running. Every Monday I have this issue because I play football Sunday in the night. Briefly list and explain 3 types of SQL statement available in how many? 3. What are they? I don't have to write this. We have prepared statement, and callable statement. Callable statement. Do I need to write again?
Yes, right.
We have prepared statements. This is 1. 2 is just statement. And then 3 is callable. So let's do the explanation a little bit. In prepare statement is a parameterized statement. That is, you have something that is missing. Whenever you have a query that has a question mark, okay? Like select, I don't have to, any query that have a question mark is what you call the prepare statement. That is parameterized, okay? It has parameters. How about statement? These are statements that are complete. They have no missing parameters. Do you get it? How about callable statement? These are statements that are only storing procedures, objects. Like I said, in database, you can store an object. You can store a trigger, for example. Let's say it's a club database. So you have a trigger. You cannot be a member if you are less than 18 years old. Okay? So this type of statement is stored already in the database. So you call it what? Callable statement. So the moment you key in your age, okay, it will what? It will call the trigger to check. If you are a young man, you will be cancelled. Okay? Something like that. I hope you do get it. So when are they going to finish? Okay, finish. Which one did we just do? Okay, question 8, 9, 10. After 10, nothing?
Yes.
Oh my God.
كويس.
So, I think I'm taking too much time.
No problem.
I'm taking too much time explaining some things. What is a socket in Java? Any bidirectional mechanism, right? It's used for sending and receiving what? You can say bytes or characters. It's acceptable, okay? You can say bytes or characters. What are the two types of transport that are provided for socket? What are the two types of the transport? We have the transmission control protocol, or you can say TCP and UCP. Okay? TCP and UCP. These are the types of what is it? Transport that are provided via a socket. Okay? The one that we have used is a TCP, because when you send a message, you want the whole message to be delivered. But when you are making a voice, okay, just because you do not hear what I said, it doesn't mean that the connection should be, terminated. So you use UCP. Okay? Then what else? Finish. We talk. Using a Java code snippet, show an example of how to create an instance of a client and server sockets. So, how do you create an instance of client and server socket? I think I have multiple questions about this as well. How do we create a socket for client? We use the keyword socket, right? Let's say client socket is equal to socket. And in here, you have first the IP address. By default, you can use localhost, comma, a port number, okay? 10.8. Which one is the instance of the client? This one, right?
Yes.
It's more like how we create an instance of a class, because the socket is also a class. How about the server socket? What you have is this. Server socket. Okay, server socket is equal to what?
Yes, yes.
Is there any keyword new?
Oh.
Do we use the keyword new or not?
Oh.
So it's up to you to find out. Did you understand what I just said? Do we use new or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
understand.
what we have in the server socket is only what? The port number.
Yeah.
That's all that we have. Only the port number. Then the next question. Show another code snippet on how to
Server
How
socket can
to-
accept connection.
what is this? How to the server socket can accept.
Connection.
The English does not sound correct. Another code snippet on how to the server socket can accept. On how the server socket can accept the connection. Okay, forget about this. On how the server socket can accept the connection. So how can it accept the connection? You use a socket, that is, let's say client socket is equal to server socket dot accept.
Within
That's all. This is how you
within
accept. Okay? I think if I could remember, it was like a very long code, then asking you at which line do we accept, at which line do we connect, at which line. I cannot remember seriously. But all I know is that everything is part of the
server
questions.
socket لما قال اس اس equal
And
server
lastly,
socket صح ذكرني اسأله قبل شوي كان يقول
okay,
فيها
Almost
تركة لو
lastly.
حطينا نيو كنا نسأله
explain the function of the get input stream and get output stream methods of the socket class.
ولا أي شيء.
So the socket is for, like, it's like a door, right?
Yes.
Going out and coming in.
Coming.
As it is said, input stream, that is where you get the bytes coming in. That is coming in through the network. Because once you go out, you are on the TCP network. So it is accepting bytes, that is input. And then what? Output stream. It is also sending out the bytes. This is their function. Okay? This is their function. And then next, is it 9:30? So what is the primary distinction, that is the primary difference between input stream reader and output stream writer in Java socket programming? So the input stream reader, as you know, get input stream is going to get what? The bytes. The input stream, like they said, reader is going to read the byte, is going to translate the byte into what? Strings, into characters that you can understand. Because the byte is for the network. And the output stream writer, as they say, write. So you have the byte and you write the characters, then you translate them into what? You convert them into what? Bytes. So it's the function of the output stream writer to translate your strings or your characters into bytes so that the socket can transfer them.
طيب
Do you get it?
أعطينا كود
Then what else?
مثال كود شيء.
Actually, some of the questions I think I cannot answer. Do I have to answer that as well? What is the time?
Distinction between.
Okay. Programming expressions. So I hope you get the answers, right?
كان
The primary distinction between Buford reader and Buford writer. As you know, the input stream reader is translating the byte into what? Characters. But it is translating it word by word. Okay? Each word will be translated because when there is space, you have one byte. You already know if you want to draw an integer with an array, right? Each column is a byte. How many? Is it 8? Yeah. Is it 8? So maybe it will be translating it 8 by 8, so it will not make sense. But the buffer reader will collect all the translated characters and put them in one place. That is why they call it buffer. Okay? And then also the writer, when you are translating the characters into the byte, is also small by small. So the writer will get them all together. Okay? And then what method of buffer reader is used for reading / receiving data over a socket? So buffer reader is which method is used for reading? What method do we use for reading? Read line. No, read line. Scanner has nothing to do with this. Scanner is for keyboard input. So the method that we use for reading is what? Read line. Okay? So it is for reading and for receiving. Okay? Read line. I hope you could remember it. And then what else? What method of Buford reader is used for writing and what? Or sending. We use which method? Write. We use the method write. Okay? These are the methods. Okay? So for you to see what is coming in, that is what you are receiving, or you want to read, you have to use Buford reader dot readline to read it. For you to send or to write, you have to use Buford writer dot write. As you know, the Buford writer will come with an instance, right? Like you create object of it. So that's it. Any question?
No.
So just 30 questions, 60 minutes, you will finish it on time.